And 3,
Take
2,
dose.
1, action.
We're on take 2 here because Andy screwed up on take 1. Welcome to the weekday. It's episode 70
we'll say
something.
you screwed up.
I messed up hardcore. It's been a weird couple of days. Your coffee smells delightful. I will say that.
Why, thank you.
You're very welcome. Hey, welcome to the weekday army. Thanks for joining in, all the loyal listeners and watchers and followers. Share this with a friend today. We're going to be talking about some big bombastic topics, but before we get there, I want
Watch
to play.
out, YouTube algorithm.
Watch
out.
We're gonna floss with the YouTube algorithm.
Well,
That's
and
what
not
we're
only
doing.
that, we're going to solve
The dance, not the teeth.
just every problem.
We are going to solve all the church problems.
No, every
problem?
Yeah.
Okay,
Quantum
well,
entanglement, solved.
I have a problem.
Okay.
And I'm going
Law
to
of
put this
gravity.
out. I'm going to put this out to you, the faithful audience, and those that may be joining in for the first time. Hello, I'm Andy.
Michael.
I'm Justin.
Correct. That is Justin over there, our Justin Deal on the Wheels of Steel. So, yay or nay? We're going to play a game of yay or nay.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Yay or nay? Velveeta shells and cheese
I'll say yay.
with the cream, with the squirt.
with the gelatinous cheese.
Yeah, yay or nay, Justin?
I'll say yay. We have it all the time. Or-
Depends, but overall, I'd say yay.
Okay. Yay or nay, Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Yay, but it's a different type of mac and cheese.
Right. Well,
it's just a different
getting,
category.
Hold on, I'm getting. There's an
what-
ultimate. There's
well,
an ultimate.
you didn't tell me this.
Okay. There is a mountain that I'm ascending. Justin, yay or nay, Kraft macaroni
Big
and
ol'
cheese.
yay.
Yeah. It's to me that out of all of them, that's like the pinnacle of
Powdered
the box
cheese.
the powdered cheese. Okay. So yay or nay, Chick-fil-A mac and cheese.
Nay.
Nay.
Never had, but that sounds like a big ol' yay
No.
to me.
No, it's a nay. It tastes like mashed potatoes.
Really?
Like,
Yeah.
there's something about mac and cheese made at like a restaurant or
Okay. Hold on.
yeah, okay.
I'll do you one better. Yay or nay, Long John Silver's
No,
lobster mac and cheese.
nope. I've never been, and I am okay with that.
Justin,
I don't know if I've ever had anything from Lon John
Yeah,
Silver.
I haven't either.
yay or nay, like one of those bougie, crusty macaroni and cheeses that
could do
you
that.
get from like a real upscale. Yeah, we preaching in here.
Hey, you know what? There was this restaurant, and I don't know what it's called. Zach told me about it, and Chris and I went there 6 years ago, probably.
Okay.
And he
Eulalie.
said, "Nope, no. It was on like Harbor Island,
Oh, okay.
and it was some weird like cafe something." And he said, "Do yourself a favor, get the short rib mac and cheese." And life changing.
Really?
It was so good.
Sounds like a
and
calorie
you know,
bomb.
and for those of you that don't know who Zachary Collins is, he has the taste buds of a
7-year-old.
5-year-old. Yeah, a 5-year-old boy who feasts upon dinosaur chicken nuggets and
And ravioli,
yes, spaghettios,
canned ravioli.
And so, but like this was tight.
Okay, so
Tight.
overall, where I'm going to this is the overall yay or nay is.
Oh, I have. Yeah. keep
Okay, well, let's not even do yay or nay. Do you prefer restaurant mac and cheese?
No.
Or do you prefer like boxed macaroni
Yeah,
and cheese?
I would much rather have boxed mac and cheese. There's just something. So it's like mac and cheese and meatloaf and lasagna. There's a couple of different like dishes that I will never get
At a
out.
restaurant?
Yeah, I won't. I won't do a lasagna from Carrabba's. Like
No,
just,
no, that's
I
too
won't
much.
do meatloaf from Cheddar's. Like
See, I will.
just no. There's
just like
something
meat.
about those things that a restaurant. I don't care how good they are, critically. A critical acclaim. The meatloaf.
4.7 stars.
Yeah, the lasagna at Carrabba's is critically acclaimed.
I mean, it is. It got Tony. Justin, do you
Tony.
prefer boxed macaroni and cheese or restaurant macaroni? So let's even go. Let me take it a step further.
do you
'cause
think
the
this
best,
is the content people are really hoping for right now?
I don't care. It's on my mind because we had macaroni. It's been on
And
my
I have
mind.
the microphone,
It's
so-
been on my mind since Saturday evening when we were at our dad's house. You know him.
I am aware of him.
When he had
Yes.
Chick-fil-A mac and cheese,
Yeah.
and
Did
we
you
had
have
a
it?
conversation. No, I never have it. I've had it before because it tastes awful. It tastes like what would happen if you were trying to make gluten-free, dairy-free mac and cheese, except failed at it.
Yeah, that's like your lane.
And
for sure.
like we make a good
Yeah.
one. We make a very good one, but it tastes like somebody made it with mashed potatoes And like that's the cheese sauce is mashed potatoes. So it's just noodles and mashed potatoes. Justin, we didn't get to your answer, so I want to level up the stakes just a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So let's say you went to like Mission Street Barbecue. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And you get their mac and cheese that has like the crispy onions on top. You know what I'm talking about? And it's kind of like crispy on top.
Yeah.
Are you going to go for that, or are you going to go for a boxed Kraft mac and cheese?
Oh, see, you just changed the game a little bit, because normally I was going to say boxed mac and cheese, but you're talking about a barbecue place.
Yeah.
And they're like any kind of barbecue place, their mac and cheese, and then adding barbecue sauce on top. That's the good stuff.
Ooh, I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was
Oh,
the short rib mac and cheese
Yeah.
that I had. I mean, it was very similar to that. It's like barbecue mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about a barbecue place's sides that
Collard greens.
that hit different.
Collard greens and green beans.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So
All day.
I
With
will
bacon in
say,
it.
yeah, barbecue places can do mac and cheese well. Much past that, I'm not doing it.
I
I'm just
agree.
not doing it.
There's a food truck that comes to our neighborhood every Friday. We have like a food truck gathering in our big area every Friday night, and one of them is a mac and cheese specific food truck. And I always wonder, like, and the line is huge, and I'm always wondering, like, man, it's like $12 for a little thing, like one scoop of that.
No.
Man, what are we doing with our lives?
I also like fish, any sort of fish and mac and cheese. I don't get it.
Lobster?
Yeah, like lobster mac and cheese.
They're not fish, but okay.
Well, sure.
They're
Any
crustaceans.
seafood, a seafood-esque
They're
mac and cheese.
akin to spiders.
Yes, cockroaches.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh.
Closer to cockroaches than fish. I understand.
Yes.
However, there's something like that seems to have a lane with people, and that will be a lane I shall never travel.
I've had one lobster mac and cheese when I lived up in Jersey, and let me tell you, it was awful. It was terrible.
What about crab rangoon?
I have had creme rangoon. Hate it.
Okay.
It's very like.
Oh yeah,
Okay, I think we solved a whole lot here today. I had something else entirely that I was going to talk about, and then
what was it?
I honestly don't remember right now. It was going to have to do with Halloween and trick-or-treating and kids, and it was going to, well, we don't have time now, but it was
No,
going to
just
be.
say what it was, and we won't talk about it.
Okay, haunted houses, yeah or nay?
Great.
Okay, we'll be right back with more from the Weekday and Studio B. Goodbye.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for being a part of the Weekday. I just want to let you know that Bay Hope Worship is releasing new content, new songs all the time. Make sure to head over to our YouTube, our Instagram, or our Spotify account. The links are down below in the description, and check them out.
One that
And
I did
we're
forget.
back.
One that I did forget was, you brought this up, was Panera. Are you the mac and cheese in a bread bowl? Like
Oh my God.
how much do you want diabetes?
I just 35-year-old Mike can't think of a worse way to spend his lunch.
Well, like there's people that do like Alfredo in the bread bowl.
yeah, I
at
used to.
Panera.
I remember when we used to go there on Wednesday nights after church.
Justin's over there going,
Honestly, that sounds kind of good.
I would do a French onion soup in a bread bowl
jeez.
and just go to town on the whole
Would you
thing.
eat the whole bread?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Come on, 18. You remember 17-year-old
Yeah,
Mike?
with a bag of Skittles in one hand and a bag of Santita tortilla chips
No,
in the
that
other.
wasn't until college.
Yeah, that's true. All right, welcome back. So we've had a long arc here. We've had probably 3 or 4 episodes.
Some would say it's like MCU like.
Yeah,
we've length and scope.
We've been having stingers and trailers for other things as well. So about 3 years
Side
ago,
quests.
we started a series where we were talking about evangelicalism, not to be confused with evangelism, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. But evangelicalism, the
You will.
state.
I won't talk about it.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it because we just had a lunch thing. Really, the state of evangelicalism in particularly the West, and most notably in the United States, in kind of the social media culture. And we talked about really the rise and the 3 phases of evangelicalism and where we are. We're kind of in the 3rd phase. We're seeing a differing opinion on what the church actually represents. We're seeing and feeling different effects on influencers in social media. We're seeing a whole lot of things happening around evangelicals, the popular, we're going to say right wing because it now has almost become synonymous with being a Republican in the United States. That's what an evangelical is. Like it or not, that's what it has become. And so we have been talking about this for weeks and weeks and weeks now, where we're actually going to solve the problem of what happened to evangelicalism, and most notably, kind of its effects on everything that's happening in modern day society, but also as we do here at the Weekday, we want to pull the curtain back and really talk to you guys about the fears that we actually have as a church staff, because there's like a big honest fear that we have when we talk about the fact that we work for a church or that we represent a church or that we do, because there's an automatic box that is checked in a majority of people's minds. So Mike actually brought a clip from
It's from a movie called Mac and Me.
Mac and Cheese?
No.
Yay, nay. No, it's from Spin City. Where we were kind of headed with this was one way, and then you actually saw an Instagram post or an Instagram story from an acquaintance of yours.
Yes.
And so I'm setting you up. So I want you to talk about this and kind of
Just keep going. And you just go all the way.
yeah. I want you to pull it up, and then we're going to show it to everybody. No, so talk about the post.
Okay, so this friend of mine, I would say he's more of an acquaintance. He's a pastor, and he recently got a job. He was a pastor in the Tampa Bay area, got a job out in another state. I'll try and keep this as vague as possible.
His or her name.
No, it's a he. We'll say that. It's a he. And yeah, so he got a job at another church and ended up posting a clip from this past Sunday of a pastor giving the message. And the title of the message is in big bold letters, just how to vote. And I was like,
which is the most anachronistic thing ever.
Well, and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, man, that can't be what that means. And so I went on to watch this clip, this like Instagram reel of the pastor talking. And sure enough, this pastor is standing on the platform, microphone in hand, telling his congregation how they should vote.
Well, hold on. You can get your 501c3 revoked for that.
Yes. Kind of.
Yes.
So he did not say you should vote
for this
Republican.
person. Yes.
He did not say you should vote for this person. He did not say you should vote for like the whoever.
This house number whatever.
Yep.
He did not say specifics, but in vagaries.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So these are the top 10 reasons or the top 10 ways you should vote. Okay. Number 1 is you should actually vote. Yeah. I guess number 10. Yeah, we work away. But what number 10 is actually number 1, right? Isn't that?
No, we didn't do a top 10.
Okay.
We did 5.
We did 5.
That's
Okay.
5.
I'll let you know when we get to 5.
Okay. You should actually vote. Vote God's values first. Vote for life and not death. Vote for family as God created it. Vote for freedom to worship. Vote for unity and not division, which I think is really funny because in saying the first half of this stuff, it is actually dividing a good amount of people.
Automatically.
Yes, because it is, a lot of this is just plain subjective.
Right.
But vote for unity, not division,
Correct.
of course.
Correct.
Vote for safety and security. Vote for financial responsibility. Vote with peace because Jesus still reigns, which again feels very, so what I'm looking for, ironic because there's like so many dog whistles for certain talking points that are just layered through these 10 things.
Right. So to start the conversation, we're going to peel back the curtain again because that's what we do. We were having a conversation about this because, like I said that word anachronistic, and essentially that in this context, it feels like this is what a modern day evangelical looks like.
Yes.
This is and that's what anachronistic is. It is iconic.
Yes.
This is what.
Yeah, if you were to paint a picture of what an evangelical looks like, this is everything that they would just say.
It is that post from that guy. Why?
Well, I think I'm just gonna back up a little bit, and I'll say why too. I think the reason and maybe to pull back the curtain a little more, is the reason why I was shocked by this is because I have not been a part of a church. I mean, you have, maybe a few, but like I haven't been a part of a church where someone stands on stage and does this in a church setting. And so I was a little like, man, I know that stuff happens, but to just see it real plain from like someone who's a friend of mine in a church and he's reposting it being like, yes, felt so strange.
Yep.
And I don't think here at Bay Hope, I mean, obviously we know Pastor Matthew has talked about voting before in the sense of like, sure, you should vote, like that is your civic duty or whatever. And that's about where that stops.
Yep.
And
Said duty.
the duty, that's where it stops. I mean, truly that's where it begins too. Am I right?
That's where life begins.
Am I right? Coffee.
All right.
So I was very taken back by that. And then I started to, it's like, why am I doing this? Why? And then, so you're asking, what was the question you asked?
Why does it feel like this, if you were to paint broad strokes in modern culture, when you say the word evangelical, this is the person that you get. Okay. Why is that?
So when a couple episodes ago, when we were talking about the history of evangelicalism,
right,
what I think has happened is evangelicals now believe that the way for the church to make an impact is through governmental power.
Right.
And so how they have become so intertwined that the only way for us to make headway as the kingdom is through voting, is through installing people in power in government positions. And not only is that the way, like that is your duty.
Duty.
That's the reason you're an American. And so they end up stoking a lot of this fear that is unnecessary, but then we'll end it like this guy ended it and just say, well, but it's okay, Jesus reigns and he's still on the throne.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then why go through all this other stuff if Jesus is still on the throne and like essentially you're just saying it doesn't really matter. So it's shocking to me that that's sort of like what we're living in. Now it's not so much, now it's not as like behind the scenes anymore. Now it's not so much a hush hush type thing. Like that's wide out in the open. He posted that on Instagram. It's got thousands of likes, got hundreds of comments to it. And it's just way more out in the open than I feel like it has been. I mean, obviously over the last probably 6 to 8 years, it's way more on the open.
There is a trend. We're in the year of our Lord 2022.
Yeah.
There has been a trend, especially in the last 8 years, popular events notwithstanding, where we have it feels like we have reinstalled the religious right or the moral majority, quote unquote, that was around in the Reagan years and shortly before and shortly after, and then never went away. It just kind of changed. And now we have tools like social media. We have tools which we can come onto Twitter if we want to. I've been banging the Twitter story thing for a little bit, which I think it's just hysterical to me. It's just funny that one of the richest men in the world essentially bought something and then
said, I want to buy this.
And now,
which he can do.
And now he's getting blowback for it. And he's going, wait, what? How did that happen? Which I think is hysterical.
Yeah.
But also that people are changing their profile picture to the profile picture of him when he was balding before he got hair transplants, and he's banning them for it, which I think is hysterical because he can do that. It's his company.
He can do that.
But the rise of really the popular use of social media has almost led to a re-explosion of that third wave of evangelicalism, which we had talked about.
Yeah. Or just, I think maybe it's exacerbated
That's exactly where I was going with it.
There was already flaws in a lot of this stuff, but like the amplification of it has really like magnified the flaws.
Correct. And that's almost like when you get like a canker sore in your mouth or something, and you have to chew on the other side or whatever. There's not a left and right thing, but like you have to chew on the other side. And the second you stop chewing on that other side, like you inevitably will bite that stupid sore, and you say, "Oh crap, I forgot about that." Well, now it just seems like that sore is everywhere.
Right.
even if that's not the case,
Right.
The loudest minority are pushing away the silent majority in terms of what it actually means to be an evangelical Christian.
Yeah, it's being normalized.
Correct.
You know, the
Correct.
right to be a evangelical means you're a right-leaning Republican.
Correct.
And then I will say too, on the opposite side, the same thing is happening on the left.
Correct.
It's just not necessarily being affected by evangelicalism.
It's not.
But like the same vitriol, the same tactics are happening where you stoke fear, you create a sense of urgency through fear
and community and communal
you
suffering.
mobilize. Yeah, you mobilize people and you paint it's been happening for years. Like that is not a new thing, but how it's happening is fascinating because I will say too, as we as a church are going through this process of identifying who is Bay Hope Church, what is Bay Hope Church, what's the future of Bay Hope Church look like? There is a segment of Christians who exist now to basically be the opposing force to evangelicalism. And so like, give me one issue and like we could point to a bunch of people on. So let's take any one of these points that this guy has made, vote for life or whatever. And that's a very right, like dog whistle, like, oh, that's a dog. Okay. So that means anti-abortion. And then I will give you a bunch of Christians or churches, even denominations for that matter, on the left that would say the same thing, but it would mean something completely different.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's fascinating.
It's fascinating. And one of the things that we talked about yesterday was this is the reason people inevitably in history adopt fascism or a fascist ruler or a fascist leader because of fear-mongering, of all the things that happen behind that. They gather behind a leader who is boisterous, who is charismatic, who is any number of things. Mussolini. Let's talk about Mussolini. And
let's do it.
He made the trains run on time. He promised certain things. 95% of everything else that was bad, 5% was happening. And so people gathered around that. And then, cool, now we have a fascist dictator as our leader. Well, I'm not saying that the church is a fascist dictator by any stretch of the imagination, but evangelicalism is following that same trend right now.
Yes.
Where we're spitting out 95% of what actually matters and we're glomming onto the 5% that we know we can truly affect people with.
Right.
And again, it's happening on the left, it's happening on the right, it's happening right down the middle. And then that leaves us in the church and where we wanted to go with this conversation and where I'm going to kick it to Justin in a sec. I'm going to ask you the same question, but like, are you scared?
No.
Why?
Because this is an issue the church has been battling with for what is now thousands of years. And the church still remains. And you could argue in parts of the world, the church is the strongest it's ever been.
Yes.
Is growing faster than it ever has been.
Right, but
there are more Christians on the face of this planet right now than there ever has been.
Okay, and the rebuttal on the on the other side of that. Sorry, I didn't mean left. The rebuttal on the other side of that is twofold. Number one, we're talking about the West. We're talking about the downfall of evangelicalism or the reorientation of evangelicalism in the West. Number one. Number two, there's more people in the world.
Yeah. Well, yes, that is true. I also think that like this is.
I agree with you. I'm not saying it's a bad point.
I think if I'm, prognosticating here.
Good word.
A 10, 20, 30 years. I mean, Christian experts, sociologist experts, pastors, writers, whoever.
They don't know anything. Pastors don't know anything.
Smart people who are Christians.
Pastors don't know anything.
I'll just say smart people who are Christians.
Great.
They are saying now that the U.S. is about 10, maybe 20 years behind like Canada.
Right.
Canada is about 10, 20 years behind Europe.
England, yeah.
And which in the sense of like it's post-Christian.
Right.
A lot of people are saying America is already post-Christian. I legitimately think that
Kristen's calling.
I legitimately think that this is the downfall. Evangelicalism is going to be the downfall of American Christianity. And while it made it explode I also think that it is going to be its downfall, because this to me is like the inevitable other side of what's happening.
Yes, I agree.
And when you try to co-opt people into power, when Christians try to co-opt power, I guess, and use that as a means to legislate their own spirituality over people, it never ends well.
Yes.
It never does. And there's a reason Jesus did not go into some sort of political life. There's a reason Jesus, his biggest opponents were the Pharisees, who were essentially the de facto culture keepers among
Not even de facto. That's what they built the whole platform on.
Right. So they were essentially the politicians of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, they were installed by the Roman government. They were the Roman government used the Pharisees as a puppet government almost over these people to keep them under control. So in my head, Jesus has a problem with them. Why? I feel like you can pick that up and place it here today. Those people, those Pharisees 2,000 years ago believed in God. Essentially, that's what they told people. I think today people believe in God. And now granted, I'm not calling Christians non-Christians. I'm not judging them for that. I'm saying the outcome of trying to co-opt seats of power to legislate your own spirituality over a group of people as a means to almost enslave them to your thought process it's never going to end well.
Yeah, the polity and policy that's coming from, we're going to call it the religious right, but really what that is the evangelicals.
Yeah.
Is counter to, say, things that should be happening from an evangelistic perspective.
Yes, the church...
Evangelism, the church has not abandoned, but, and I'll give a quick story, and then Justin, I'm sorry, I want to get to you in a second, but we just had lunch with a bunch of pastors and church leaders from the area with a guy named Lee Strobel. Lee Strobel, you may know, is an author. He wrote the book, this kind of seminal book in Christianity, The Case for Christ, back in the late 80s, early 90s, right around there. He was an atheist.
A journalist.
He was a journalist. He got assigned to talk to really look into Jesus and the Bible, and through all of his research and his well-intentioned sort of I'm going to destroy the faith, ended up coming to the faith, and now has this extremely large evangelistic outreach ministry. So with this entire lunch was, we're going to be holding an event here at Bay Hope in March. So there you go, spoiler. But also it was all about kind of establishing evangelistic outposts through all of these churches. Well-intentioned, well-meaning. I, however, sat in that meeting and knowing that we were going to come to this podcast and had two thoughts. Number one, Lee Strobel's an intelligent individual. All those people in there are intelligent individuals, and they're missing the signs of the times right now because the things they were talking about would not work on people that are Austin Slade's age. Would not work. And they think it would.
Yeah.
They're talking about those hip-hop concerts and kind of outreach events like that. Would not work because it is a baseless thing. It's missing a whole lot of underneath kind of the undercroft. So that's the first part. The second part was evangelism, a sorely missed, sorely needed tool in our churches. This is not coming from them. They actually pointed this out, and I agreed. You put your name, you put a title, you assign a salary to things that matter in your church.
Yeah.
So worship matters. So you have a worship director or a worship leader or a worship pastor. Children's matter. So you have a children's director.
Right.
Youth matters. So you have a youth pastor.
Yeah.
All these things. Most churches, by and large, do not have a pastor of evangelism, a pastor of even outreach, but an evangelistic or discipleship pastor.
Sure.
And one of the reasons is it goes back to this it's the kingdom of priests. We're all supposed to be doing evangelism.
Which is true.
Which is 100% true. But this is where we as the church, so I asked the question, are you scared? This is where I get scared because the erosion of what the church should be doing is missing. It's one of the reasons that I get so angsty in this area about group structure, about discipleship structure, because the training should be there. And instead, we're kind of just letting the church just do what it wants.
Sure. Yeah, I think in a present tense, I don't know if scared is the word that I would use.
Maybe scared is the wrong word because scared denotes that I have no trust. I have no basis of faith. maybe I have trepidation.
Concerns.
Concern is a good one.
Yeah.
It's not like outright, like I'm going home and chewing my fingernails off scared.
But like, I also think that, because Pastor Matthew talks about this too.
Burdened.
Yeah. Well, and that's fine. A holy discontent to see things change
Yeah.
it can be a beautiful gift.
Yes.
And a really bitter pill to swallow as well.
Kristen's calling.
No, that's my green team. That is the people who do my lawn.
Yeah. You dump Massey too?
Yeah, I've been using them for a while.
Okay, good.
Green team, get your lawn fertilized.
Massey, bad.
No, but what I was going to say, Pastor Matthews says like this is the golden age of that sort of thing, because I do think things need to die for them for life to come about again. And I think that is true of our cultural Christian moment right now.
Agreed.
Like this cultural Christianity that is driving so much division through politics in a way to power grab. And like people who think that's not happening, like you need to think a little more critically about this, because that's exactly what's happening, or at least is a byproduct of what is happening. Maybe there's some intentions that are good, but like in general, for people to make some sort of change at a government level, they have to gain power. And to do that, certain things need to be sacrificed.
Agreed.
So for the church to grow, for people to grow in their faith and all that kind of stuff, for us to leverage the kingdom of God in this cultural moment, there are things that are going to need to die. And while that is scary, and I, for one, have made a career in a church that is
scary.
Yeah, like that's a potential, like, oh shoot, well, like my job is tied to the success of this church.
Correct.
So while I think in a short-term sense, yes, there are concerns to be had. However, in a long-term sense, the church explodes when it is held down. The church explodes when it is like, when there is tension, when there is, I don't know, when things are trying to hold it back. Nothing can hold back the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
And so like this whole idea that you need to vote for spiritual freedom and religious freedom is like, yeah, I guess so, and maybe in like the shorter.
I mean, it's nice to not have to worry about
and I don't want to be nihilistic about this and be like, no, like we need to do church in like,
basements and caves.
Yeah. And
like they do in Kabul.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like I like what I do right now. And I like it being a job that I can make money and support my family on, for sure. However, in a long-term sense, the gospel always wins out. And like we have seen it time and time and time again. So for the religious right that is stoking fear to say that like the church is going to end, like is patently false. For the left to come in and be this weird counterweight that is deconstructing everything. You can't grow out of something that is completely deconstructed. And so, again, it's probably somewhere in the middle.
Just like everything.
Yeah.
Justin, sum everything up for us in one word.
Yay.
Oh, that's good. No, I always feel bad for you in these type of discussions, Justin, because we and usually I am a bad host when it comes to this, and I don't ever bring you into the conversation until towards the end of it, where I say like, "Hey, Justin, what do you think about all of that stuff that's been said for the last 20 minutes?"
No, I can
make it short.
But hey, Justin,
make it short.
Yeah, hey, Justin, what do you think about the stuff that's been? No, I'm going to go back to my question that I said I was going to ask you 15 minutes ago, and ask you first: are you scared? And second of all, like, where does all of this land with you in your heart and in your faith journey and your faith walk right now?
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, I'm not scared.
Good.
I
Episode
guess
over.
that can be because of point 10 that's on Mike's list.
Yeah. Right.
It's good.
Agreed.
But-
Voting for peace.
No, that's the Jesus still on the throne.
Right.
On the Instagram.
Yeah.
The Instagram. I
The-
sound old. What
The Instagram.
How old are you?
on the Instagrams.
by the way?
The Instagram.
How old am I?
Yeah.
28.
I know, but
I'm
you
not that
sounded
old.
like a million years old there.
Yeah, so really I'm not scared. I think that this whole conversation is really interesting because it's weird because when you start to go down a certain thought process, you can really justify just about anything.
Yep.
Right.
That's a very good point, dude.
Yeah. So I feel like it's worth taking the time and figuring out if you're going down the right thought process with whatever it is that you're justifying.
Yeah.
In terms of voting and stuff like that, I think that, I mean, everybody knows that there's important issues and stuff like that. And the Bible talks about a lot of issues not directly, but oftentimes indirectly. And I feel like the best way, if what's going on in somebody's head is, if what they're thinking is, I need to get people to know this thing so they can vote this way.
Yeah.
I think that's the wrong way to think about it. I think that more of a correct way to think about it would be, I need people to know this thing because that's what's in the Bible, not just to vote in a certain way. And that's why if you believe that there is, that in the Bible it says this, and if it takes one side or another, I think it's good to preach the Bible instead of having a list of these are how you should vote.
Oh, yeah.
Because if that is in the Bible, then it'll come out.
Right.
And it's kind of like what you said at the end, Mike, where what did you say about, it was a comment that you had about the gospel, where the gospel is most important or something.
Yeah, the gospel's always going to win.
Always wins out.
Yeah, the gospel always wins out. I feel like as long as you put that ahead of everything else, because if you're so focused on how people are going to vote, voting is important. Voting is extremely important. But if you're so focused on how other people are going to vote, especially if you're, leading a bunch of people, I mean, what's more important, the polls or the Bible?
The polls.
Both are very important, but one is far more important than the other.
Which one? Tell me.
The Bible.
Oh, that was the wrong answer.
Is that a shocker?
Yeah, I'm an evangelical, so that's the wrong answer?
Well, the way that you make the Bible important is you vote for it. That would be.
I'm so confused, guys.
Well, you can't just say I'm a Christian and not vote for certain things that evangelicals vote for.
Oh gosh, I can't.
You have to.
Who's going to verify? My vote is kept private, correct?
Yeah. Well.
Justin, thanks for your input. I real quick. So you work a lot outside of the walls of here. I don't know how much you do a lot of freelancing anymore, but you did a whole lot of freelancing with people who are not professing Christians. Did you ever feel any of that weirdness from them, where you said like, hey, if you told them, hey, I'm a Christian, and they go like, oh, okay, Mr. Pro-Life, anything like that?
Not necessarily like that, but I did sometimes get some weirdness where, not
allowed to dance, not allowed to drink.
From the town of Footloose.
Yeah, what is this? The town of Footloose up in this house?
It wasn't, if there was any of it that was like specifically like that, it would have been behind my back. So,
cool.
But
even better.
I feel like a lot of people, when they hired me, they already knew that I was a Christian.
Yeah.
And whether or not they were a Christian, it led to Christian gigs, but then also not Christian gigs.
Yeah.
That was it was great too. But there was also gigs that I had to turn down too, where I was talking with people and it just did not align at all with anything that I wanted to put out. And which, having that conversation with people, they understood after that. But so if there was people like that, it probably maybe would have been somebody that I stopped at the very beginning and said, listen, I'm probably not the guy for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good call. Thanks for standing up for what you believe in, buddy.
Hey.
Make sure you vote for it.
Oh, and by the way, you have to wear your sticker the rest of the day, because if not, then
Wait, so did
doesn't
we
count.
solve it? What was the solve?
well, here my way to solve this
Yeah.
is this: vote for Jesus. Just write him in on everything. Every single time you can write in just Jesus Christ, and then Mickey Mouse as his vice president.
It does create a conundrum, and like I understand
It does, but it doesn't. It does in one sense, yes.
Right.
In terms of policy, yes, because there are people that are going to vote that you cannot find somebody who's going to up and down say like, this is my belief, yada yada yada.
Yes.
But there's also not a church that does that either.
Right. Yeah, I think to stand on the platform and say how your congregation should vote and say it's in a spirit of unity, it's not.
It is in a spirit of disunity.
Yes.
That is the first thing.
You are dividing people by the things that you're saying.
Correct.
So I'll say
Hey, but Jesus said, I came to bring a sword.
Yeah.
So
You're right. So, and that's another thing I was going to say too, is like, I think what Justin said about you can justify pretty much anything.
Yeah.
I think that is 100% true.
Yep.
And how you wield that sword is like so important.
yes.
Yeah. And I understand the conundrum. I get it. I totally understand. I think we got to approach this differently. Otherwise, we are going to see the downfall of like the way that things are done right now. And it's going to lead to some very destructive things.
It has a very much like Catholicism in the late 1400s feel.
Yeah.
Where Martin Luther rocked up on Reformation Day and hammered in a bunch of theses on a door. Like, it feels like that.
Yeah. Or like, you can go throughout history and pinpoint so many different times where people in the church get co-opted by governments of power and how that's not good. How bad things come about because of that, because they're able to justify bad things and say, well, like God told me to, essentially.
But Mike, Constantine,
Sure.
he saved the world when he saw a cross in the air.
Right.
Didn't you know that?
Yes, I did. I knew that. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Thank God.
So yeah, I think it's a pretty sticky topic to solve evangelicalism. I just say like, just be cool.
Hey, bros.
Hey bros.
Hey, bros.
Hey, can you
Can you just be chill?
let's chill.
Yeah,
Let's so
just-
chill.
Let's be chill.
Let's so chill.
That's so chill. My dorm rooms, my roommates are so chill. I love you, Austin.
Yeah.
Not this. Well, I love this Austin too, but my Austin, he's watching. He
Right.
watches this.
He
Anything
didn't make
else?
it this far.
Yeah, he did. Anything for anything? This is what he listens to when he goes to bed. Thanks, Austin. Anything for anything else before we wrap up evangelicalism for now? I mean, literally, like the only way to wrap it up is like, yes, be cool, but also like, hey, maybe don't invest as much in the government as you do in your Lord and Savior.
Sure. I think
Like,
it's
I think that up and down, evangelicalism is in its third movement right now because people are investing into who's in the White House and who is in the seats of power in the United States government. This is the world over, not just here, and not onto the throne of Jesus.
well, yeah, and like what's happening in your community? How can you go help your community? How can you know?
how
do
can you
that?
help the person next door to you?
Well, and like the holy war you're fighting is not against flesh and blood, but it's against like a darker power, and like shocker, those darker power resides like in pretty much everything.
Everything.
So, yeah, and everywhere.
Wait, you mean in the White House too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, potentially. So,
how do I?
yep.
Okay, cool. Well, we're going to end the episode right here. I invite you to go make your favorite mac and cheese.
Tell us who you voted for in the comments.
Or just show a picture of you with your sticker. I would love that too. I voted, guys. Yeah, look at this. I will say the best voting experience I ever had was when I was living in Summers Point, New Jersey. It was a kind of a small town in New Jersey. It was during the presidential election where it was, who was it, Mitt Romney and Barack Obama. I think it was, so was that 2014?
Barrio.
Or
Yeah,
2010?
2012.
2012. And I walked in, I was in and out in 5 minutes. It was amazing. Small town voting, in and out, 5 minutes. Had my sticker, was at work. My coffee was not even, did not even feel cold when I got back in my car. Yeah, it was great. And then I've had to wait for 2 hours.
Who'd you vote for?
Jesus. All right, we're going to end there. Thanks so much for listening to The Weekday. If you made it this far, thumbs up. Remember to share, like, subscribe, comment, smash the thumbs up button. Do all the things that you're supposed to do. We love you. We'll talk to you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Bay Hope TV. Be sure to like and share these videos with your friends, as it really does help this channel out. And be sure to subscribe for more Bay Hope TV content. As always, thanks for watching.